I'm Lucy. This week I wanted to talk to you once again about simple ways you can improve your life and bring your happiness levels way up. We often feel out of control and we feel that the world around us is the influence to our happiness, that happiness is a product that can be purchased and that the next thing that we do in our life will certainly lead to happiness. But that's not actually true. Happiness starts up here. It's the way that we perceive the world around us. Now, the world around us, unfortunately, is highly commercially focused. It's trying to tell us that if you buy products, they'll lead to happiness. And marketing tells us this in a million ways every day. And it erodes into your thinking, so eventually you start to forget how to be happy. Well, I'm here to start to tell you how you can bring that back into focus so that you are happy. It's not hard, it's just about the perceptions that we have in life and the perceptions that we have of the world around us and how we think about things that sets how happy we are. We've all heard stories about people that are absolutely poor and live in horrible conditions that are happy. And then we hear about people that have got every dollar in the world that are absolutely shit miserable. There's a reason for that. It's about the perception of the circumstances of our life, not the things that are actually going on. It's how we look at them. Generally speaking, when we have a certain perception of how things are around us and how we interact in the world, our levels of happiness can go sky high. So let's look at some of the really simple ways that carry on from the last video. Now, if you haven't watched the last video, I do recommend that you do, and I'll put a link up here. Now, the first thing that I'm going to tell you to do is be congruent. Now, that's a really ugly word, I know, but what does it mean? Congruent means that you're going to do what you said you're going to do. It means that you're consistent with your speech and your actions. If you say you're going to be there at 3 o'clock, you're going to be there at 3 o'clock. It doesn't mean you're going to turn up at 3:30 and just, it's okay. It means that if you make plans with someone, you don't blow them off at the last minute unless there's a really good reason to and a genuine reason to. It means that we are consistent. Now, if you tell people that you're going to make plans with them or that you'll talk to them next week, I'll send you that email. Send that email. Talk to them next week. Pick up the phone and call them. It's really not hard to be congruent in our lives, but the fact is, most of us are losing that skill. It's something that's become really valuable in our lives because people around us have started to flake out. Now, part of this is the influence of social media around us. We're being told constantly that it's okay to do this. It's not that important, but it is. We set other people up for failure when we do this. We set ourselves up for failure. It exacerbates our anxiety because we're thinking about it. We're thinking about we don't have to go, we don't have to do this. Whereas the fact is, if you just go ahead and do it, you're pushing your own boundaries and you're training yourself to push through anxiety instead of giving into it. Now, lots of the times you'll see around, I've noticed that there is a huge trend these days for us to just back away from things that challenge us. We don't want to do things because we are feeling like anxious and scared. And the fact is, if you tell to someone that you will call them, just call them. If you say, I will meet you at 3, meet them at 3. If it means that you know that you're always late, you've probably got some issues that you should be addressing there. But it also means make arrangements so that you know you'll be there on time. If you know that it always takes you 20 minutes to get out the door, give yourself an extra 20 minutes. Be aware of yourself, be congruent, and show that to the people around us. It's a way of them knowing that they're important to us and our relationships are strengthened. But it also gives you less reason to be anxious because you're not avoiding doing the things that you said that you do. When we do avoid these things, they pile up whether we're consciously aware of that or not. We become aware of the fact that we're flaky. Somebody will eventually point out the fact that we're flaky. This will send us into a spiral of behavior where we get more flaky and more anxious. So if you just do what you said you'd do, it builds your confidence and you genuinely become a better person in other people's eyes. So it's really easy. Be congruent. Do what you said you were going to do. One of the big changes that I had to make in my life was I had to stop. Let me put it this way. I have resting bitch personality. It's not just a resting bitch face. I tend to be a bit aggressive at times. Not so much that I'm angry, it's just the way I deliver things at times can be really aggressive. I speak loudly, I speak enthusiastically, I'm very expressive and emotive, and sometimes it's just really full on energy. And I had to learn to pass that back and to surround my life with a calmness that generated a calmness. Because if we're communicating with our family and friends in a very aggressive way, they don't like it. They don't want to be around it. Nobody does, and that's fair enough. Now, it's all good to be full of energy and to be out there and to be like positive and really enthusiastic. That's fine. But sometimes we don't realize that that energy and enthusiasm doesn't quite get translated properly, or it doesn't get decoded by the other person when we transmit it. They're decoding it as, oh, this is too much. Adversely, there are people that are just aggressive. They're angry. Their internalized monologue is kind of furious at all paces and at all rates, and they express that to other people, and nobody wants to be around that. Nobody deserves it. Even if you are actually angry with someone, there are better ways to express it than by being aggressive. If we're in a bad mood, learn to control your mood. Don't just take it out on the people around you, because they will very quickly tire of it. And fair enough. It's draining to other people to be around somebody that's constantly aggressive or is prone to aggressive traits over the littlest of things. And here's the thing, the more aggressive you are unnecessarily, the more aggressive you'll become routinely. It's one of these things where I've noticed that there's an aggression therapy doing the rounds on TikTok. I won't insert a video on it, but I'm sure you'll find some on there if you choose to have a look. But it's where people are saying that if you sit down instead of meditating and scream and punch a pillow, it'll make you feel so much better. And that's sort of true, but it's really bad for you long term, because you're being aggressive and you're giving into emotions and you're falling into them on choice. That's a really bad thing. Instead of falling into these emotional states that are really negative, that we don't get anything beneficial from long term, we need to actually assess those emotions and say, where is this coming from, and why is it so intense, and why am I giving into it all the time? How do I get past this? Okay, maybe that's where it's stemming from. I'm feeling really frustrated, and acknowledging these things and moving through them, not just saying, I'm gonna have a tanty and punch a wall. Eventually, that'll lead to you having tanties at people and punching people, and there have been studies done on this. It's really not good to give in to aggression. It's really not good for the people around us. So don't be aggressive, whether it be aggressive through assertiveness or aggressive through actual anger. Try to learn to control your emotional states so that you aren't quite as hyped up in either sense. It makes interacting with other people so much better, but also it brings you a sense of calmness to your life that you really should be fostering. We could all use with a bit of calm. The next bit of advice that I've got for you is another one that's a very personal lesson. Don't confuse stuff with success. I had such a hard time with this lesson. Like a lot of people out there, I grew up not rich. I confused seeing all of these people with these wonderful bunches of things that I didn't have as being successful. As I got older, that feeling didn't diminish, and I surrounded myself with stuff. Even today, you can see around me, I still have a bit of a problem with stuff. But I've learnt that that excess can be channeled into productive ways. Now it's plants and tea. I have a really huge tea collection. I like stuff. I could never be an actual minimalist, although I'm trying to be an essentialist as I get older and as I downscale my life. But stuff does not equal success. Success is a measure of how well we're achieving our goals in life. Now, if your goal is to have a whole bunch of stuff, that might be a happy coincidence that they do actually line up. But generally speaking, as a rule, the more stuff you have around you does not mean that you are successful. It means that you've brought a lot of stuff. Buying a lot of stuff is not a sign of success. It's often a sign of a lot of debt. So don't confuse the two. Success doesn't equal stuff, and stuff doesn't lead to success. Separate the two in your head. Success will come about when you achieve your goals. When you set them clearly and reach for them, you'll know that you've gotten that success. Buying lots of stuff will often hold you back from that, and it'll add a whole heap of psychological pile-on to getting to your goals. Remember, stuff is not success. The next one is also something that I struggled with for a long time, and I'm not sure if the past one with stuff equaling success and reaching your goals, I think they might be a little bit related, which is why this one's next. If you can't achieve your goals will hurt you. It sounds really silly, right? But it's true. People that don't reach their goals are consumed by that fact. They're consumed by anger or guilt or failure. Your goals need to be able to be adaptable, mutable, and changeable with the circumstances of your life. They also need to be realistic to your life. Now, you can set a goal to do anything you want. That's an absolute fact. But if you don't have A, a concrete plan of getting there, and B, a realistic chance of actually achieving that goal through a series of small steps towards it, there isn't much point in having that goal. You're not going to reach it. Can you pace back that goal and change it to suit something that you can achieve? And then from that starting point, start again with a new goal that leads towards that. But don't go from homeless on the streets with nothing to, I want to own a giant mansion and a Ferrari. Maybe just aim for, I want shelter, and then from shelter, I want to rent my own place, and then from I want to rent my own place to I want to own my own home, and so on and so forth. Maybe one day you'll be able to achieve those goals because you're building on previous successes. But if you're trying to build a lofty mountain out of 3 pieces of sand, you're probably just going to harm yourself in the process of trying to get there. Goals are a wonderful thing to have, but they need to be realistic, achievable things that you can do with clear directions on how to do it. Don't set goals that you can't achieve. Make sure that you're always willing to change those goals so that you can achieve them, so that you can set the next series of goals. It's not about giving up, it's about being realistic and clear and setting yourself up for success, not failure. This next one, I say it in just about all of my Improve Yourself videos, so you're probably not going to be surprised at this. But it's something, once again, that I have had an on-off relationship with in my life, depending generally on what my work circumstances is. Now, however, I have a very clear success goal in mind with it, and it's exercise. Exercise is so important. We live more and more sedentary lifestyles. We don't really mean to, and we don't think that we are, but the fact is we do. We are creatures that are meant to move. Realistically, we were evolved to run. Now, I'm not saying get out and run, because that would not make me very congruent, because I'm not going running anywhere anytime soon. However, I will give it a good pound out on a exercise machine. Absolutely. If it's safe and indoors and not a lot of people around watching me do it, I will get on that machine and I will run that elliptical full pelt for an hour. Absolutely. Took me a while to get there, but I'll do it. Exercise is vitally important to so many aspects of our health. There is no getting around the fact that you need to be moving for at least half an hour a day of fairly vigorous exercise, be it going for a nice long walk. Now, that's the other key. If it isn't vigorous and we're not doing, say, a treadmill on high for 20 minutes, then you need to expand that to walking the dog gently for an hour or 2. There is a payoff with it. You need to be doing a certain level of exercise at every age, and the younger you are, the more exercise you should be getting in. The older you get, the more gentle exercise you should be getting in. It's good for your heart, it's good for your circulation, it's good for your mental health, it's just good for you. There's no getting around the fact that you should be exercising. So get yourself a workable routine daily. Another one of those lessons that I haven't just learned, I've known it for a long time, but it's taken me a while to start to get the hang of it, across all the aspects of my life anyway, is that little things can mean big things. An example of this is the way we talk to people. The way we talk to people and the tone of voice that we use and the expressions that we use while we're doing it. These little things can equal big changes in the people around us or big responses from the people around us. These little things in life, how we treat people and choosing to treat people well, choosing to smile at people, choosing to implement these things in this video into your life, these little things can lead to huge changes. Often, if you're doing these things, They're the big positive changes that occur, and you look back and you go, wow, my life is so different now. And that's one thing that I can genuinely tell you. Wow, my life is so different now. 10 years ago, I was absolutely miserable. I was mean, I was nasty, I was sarcastic, I wasn't happy. And I made a whole bunch of little changes over the years that have led to massive changes. Now I'm a completely different person. A lot of the people in my life are just astounded by how different I am. These days, I'm a nice person. I know that. I've worked really hard at becoming a nice person because I didn't like the person that I was. Now, at first, it was really hard to ensure that I could do these little things. I didn't feel confident doing them. I actually thought that you had to do these big things. And it was when I learned that it was just a whole series of little tiny actions. How you speak to people, when you speak to people, what you say to people, how you interact with people, the looks that you give them, the things that you choose not to say, the things that you choose to say. These are all so important. The exact words that you use in a conversation can dictate the entire mood of the conversation. Dismissing somebody when you didn't have to can ruin a relationship. Adversely, just listening to a person and empathizing with them, showing sympathy, showing respect for them during this conversation, it changes the entire tone of the relationship. It builds trust, and they'll come back to speak to you again. These little things that we do for people, to people, the way we speak to them, the words that we choose, they are so important. If you want to be a better person, if you want to be a happier person, be aware of the little things in life and how much of a big impact they have. The next one is, it's not what happened, it's how you think about what happened. Now, in life, there's no way to measure subjectively if you've had a good life. If you make good choices, if you make good decisions, if things are good or bad. It's all about how you think about the things that have happened in your life. It's amazing how political views can change the entire perception of a news article. Studies were done years ago where people were given the exact same article, word for word, and they were on different sides of the political spectrum. One lot read it as meaning one thing, and the other lot read it as meaning something completely different. But they were the same words all the way across, and they had totally different meanings for people. And it's because of those political affiliations changed the view of what they were reading. The same goes for all of us in our lives with every single thing that happens to you. It's not about the thing that happens to you. It's about how you think about that thing. The influence that these thoughts have on us literally shape your entire life. I've tried to stop seeing myself as a victim in any circumstances. I used to think of myself as a victim a lot, and that was one of the things that made me really miserable. When I stopped thinking about myself as a victim of circumstances and started realizing that it wasn't about placing blame on people at all, not myself, not other people. It was about stepping outside of the situation and saying, okay, what is this? What's the long-term impact of this? What's my place in this? It's about thinking about the things that are happening to us. Yeah, we can still get frustrated and we can still get angry or upset about the things that are happening to us, but it's how we think about these things in the overall scheme of it. You can have your moment where you feel really histrionic and upset and then pull yourself back in and go like, okay, this bad thing's happened, but now it's time to move on from it. Okay, this thing, it was really affecting me, but it's not as bad as that. It's not the end of the world. There is a tomorrow. And that shift in thinking will change your entire life. I guarantee it. It just takes practice to get there. Believe me, it doesn't happen overnight. But start to be aware of it. It's not what happens to you. It's about how you think about what happens to you. Okay, last one for today. And since it was a little bit heavy, this one is great. It's laugh. Just laugh at things. Take every opportunity to have a good belly laugh. Have a sit-down session with your friends as regularly as you can and bring up comedy. Watch things that make you laugh. Read things that make you laugh. If you're feeling in a particularly not great place, laugh. Even when we think about things that make us sad, for example, I've lost people in my family, and sometimes it's really hard to not think of that person and just be miserable about it. But I know that they wouldn't want that. So I think about the funny things that happen with them and I laugh. And I know that's a better way of looking at it, because then the memories associated with that person aren't just miserable and sad, because I don't want to taint their memories. I want to laugh and I want to think of all the good things. But also, laughing releases so many chemicals and it does all these synapses and things fire around in our brain. Laughing is good for us. We don't know what the evolutionary benefit of it is, but my gods, we can enjoy it. Just get out there and laugh at every opportunity you can. Learn some jokes or some things that make your friends laugh, make people laugh, make yourself laugh, enjoy life and laugh. So that's it for this week. I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you got something out of it, and please join us again next week when we go over some more ways to make your life more positive. Thanks for joining me. This is Lucy from A Good Chat, and I hope this was a good chat. Talk to you next time.